welcome to episode two of my new podcast, Been Checking In. I'm glad to have you here with us on episode 2, Been Checking In. Today we're considering the question, what season of life are you in right now? So that's the question we're answering today. And I would love to hear your answer as well. This is the Been Checking In. Hello everyone coming on the live stream. So in today's episode, we're answering the question again, what season of life are you in right now? This is the episode, in this podcast, Been Checking In, I consider the question first, and then I answer the question as well. So I'm glad to have you here. Yesterday's first episode of the YouTube live stream wasn't quite following through on the audio, so hopefully that's been rectified today. But this is today's contribution to this episode, so I'm glad to have you here. I would love to hear your answers as well on all the live streams, both on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube live streams. So I would love to hear your answers on this question as I consider, what season of life are you in? In this podcast, I want to consider these self-reflective questions, one, to help myself, but also to encourage you to join me in getting to know yourself better, and then knowing how to pursue your happiness as we learn to be kind to ourselves in these reflective questions. So welcome to this second episode. Glad to have you here with me. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this question that I am considering. Again, the question for those coming in, what season of life are you in right now? So thank you for joining this episode of Been Checking In. So what season of life are you in? As I look at this question just straight up, I'm thinking all of us have different seasons of life, right? We have different seasons that we come and go out of. Some are more adventurous than others. Some are more challenging than others. Some episodes or seasons of our lives are actually really, really a challenge. And it's in those times that we're like, I would love to have some encouragement from the sidelines. I would love to have some community around me in this time. Other seasons we might actually enjoy being quite on our own and without that kind of participation. So along those lines, seasons of life that we are in, the very nature of this question makes me think that we are constantly in flux. We're shifting and changing through the various seasons, right? Seasons come and seasons go is a phrase that I've heard from the Bible, and I think it's actually quite true that we do see different seasons that come and go. But in the midst of those seasons, one of those things that's really helpful is to reflect on the seasons that we're currently in, the seasons that we've come from, and where we're hoping to go as we plan our way in the future. So this very question for me speaks about change. And even in the midst of change, more specifically, where are we finding ourselves at this current moment? So again, I'd love to hear from you guys the season of life you feel you're in as I'm sharing mine. I'm not sure what your favorite season in the year is. I think my favorite season in the year is spring. Spring because, a variety of reasons. One, my birthday's in spring. So I'm like, yeah, that's a fantastic season. Second, it seems like for me, that's when everything comes to life, right? We've just gone through the winter months. It's been cold. It's been desolate. It's been uncomfortable, especially when it's like really, really cold. But now we're in a new season, and so we're enjoying that. And so that's pretty fantastic. Season is my favorite, followed by fall. Fall because fall is also really pretty with all the leaves on the trees changing colors. And I think some people sort of cue their emotional responses to the season, right? For some, they're really discouraged when it's raining. I know, for example, in Vancouver, BC, Canada, there's a lot of rain there, a lot of rain throughout a good spell of the year. Now, lots of people don't mind the rain, and I don't know if I would mind it or not, but I've heard of a certain disorder, like an actual disorder called SAD. It's seasonal affective disorder, and it's for those individuals who are really affected by the weather. So if it's raining like for months on end, they have a sort of depression that sets on, and it kind of affects their outlook on life, right? And then there are those who love heat. And we've just gone through a heat wave here where I'm currently at. It's been like in the plus 30 degrees, plus 40 over in BC. So it's been so hot, and people have been saying, this is too much. But then there's those who love the heat, right? This is a season of summer where it's known for the heat. There's some places in the world that have a lot more of that, right? And then there are those who love the winter, who love winter sports. They rather be in the cold elements than in the warm elements, right? And so there is that element as well too. These various seasons, and yet it's okay for us to choose seasons that we love. But today's question is not asking what your favorite season was in your past or what's your ideal favorite season. It's asking what season are you currently in? It says, what season of life are you in right now? And I'm looking forward to sharing mine, but I just want to give a few more reflections before I get into me sharing my thoughts on this. There are happy seasons, there are sad seasons, there are seasons of discouragement, there are seasons of depression, there are seasons of um, disillusionment, perhaps. There are seasons of optimism and hope and all the wide ranging emotions that we go through. And these are emotional responses we have to circumstances that we're currently going through. So the emotions are a part of this answer, I think, in the sense that emotions, in my understanding, give us a way of reflecting what's going on in our life. It gives us a way of responding to things that are going on in our lives at any one point in time or other, right? And so someone is saying your voice is just too good. Thank you so much, Corey. But along those lines, man, what a fantastic gift we have in emotions. Now, I know on my website, I have this is BinnyMasters.com. I have a free resource that I've made available for you guys. And it's just my 2 bits on how I'm able to live a happy life. A lot of times, people, when they see me, they say, Benny, one of the things we notice, you're always so happy. How are you always so happy? And so, in this little guide, I give just 3 little ingredients, is what I call them. 3 key ingredients of how I maintain this zone of happiness long term. My first point that I say right off the bat is it's actually unrealistic to be happy all the time. I may always seem like I'm happy all the time, but I'm not. I go through different seasons as well. I go through different seasons where I'm discouraged and sad and trying to make things work, but it's just sometimes it doesn't work in my favor, right? But my first point on that free guide is it's not possible, I don't think, in our human experience to always be in that zone of happiness, because then it would lose its flavor of what it really means to be happy. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a different way of how we experience different emotions as we respond to different scenarios in our life. And those expressions of emotions are actually legitimate. That's the second point I have in this resource that I want to offer you guys for free. So please go ahead and visit my website, download that free resource, give me some of your thoughts, engage with me in conversation. But my second point there is that it is quite healthy for us to experience a wide range of emotions. And so, as we consider which season of life we're currently in right now, it's totally okay for us to think about how it can be discouraging sometimes. It's okay for us to have those uncomfortable emotions in life. Totally all right, because as we consider responding with an acceptance of whatever season we're in, that's totally cool. It's totally cool for us to be able to say, hey, sometimes it's a hell yes, we're plugging away and things are going well. Other times it's not so optimistic. Other times it can be quite discouraging as well, right? And so in some of the tougher seasons of life, it is quite legitimate for us to go through those emotions that don't feel good, but are so necessary for us to be able to respond appropriately to whichever season it is. So when we consider what season you're in right now, there's a possibility that you're in a season that is not so encouraging. And that's okay. I want you to hear that. It's an okay thing to not be in a good season of life. It's an okay thing for us to respond appropriately with whatever emotions aren't as fun, because those emotions are actually gifts to be able to help you cope with whatever season you're currently in, especially if it reflects what it is. Say, for example, you're in a season where you are experiencing the loss of a loved one, like this weekend, for example. I'll be doing a funeral right? And in the midst of that funeral, it's really important for me to reflect on this season. Um, this family's grieving, right? And so it's appropriate that they're going to be in a sad season, right? So I'm going to be at that funeral with them, helping officiate and helping them grieve. And I want them to understand this is an okay thing. This is actually a legitimate response from us, right? So that's an important thing. You might be in a season, however, where you just got a test back and you're like thrilled about the score. You got your report card back, your assessments from school, and you did stellar, and you're ecstatic. Or you might finish your degree and you're like, this is amazing. Or you might be in love and you might be like, hell yes, like this is really good, and that's totally all right. So along those lines, different seasons, different emotional responses to those seasons. Let me encourage you. It's okay to be able to respond in whatever expression that emotion is to those seasons, because that's a healthy thing. It's a healthy thing to embrace all of those emotions in life, right? So let me get to my answer now. I'm answering for those of you who are coming on the live stream here. This is the Bin Checking In podcast. Thank you for coming along and being a part of it and listening for a little bit. I'm answering the self-reflective question today. What season of life are you in right now? Well, when I consider me, I have a few different ways I was thinking about this, because I was answering this to a friend yesterday. So on the one hand, I feel I am like in an amazing season right now, an amazing season, because I've just gone through some really, really difficult seasons in the last few years. Just a summation for those of you who are not familiar with my story as much. I've been separated from my wife now for, we're coming on 4 or 5 years maybe. She is one of the best humans I know in this world. I can't stop speaking amazing things about her because she's an amazing individual. The evolution for why we're not together is because I was unfaithful to her. I cheated on her. I made some really unfortunate decisions along the way. I'm not sure if we're on the same page anymore, but she's one of the people I respect the most. She's one of the most gracious people that I really value in life. And we have a great friendship now. But this season that I was coming out of, when I first came clean and took ownership and responsibility for my devastating actions that brought an end to our relationship, that was a really, really dark season for me. I knew what I had to do. And I sort of I set my face to the task ahead of me of saying, I need to come clean with everyone that knows me about my story. I need to come clean about all the things that I've been hiding and trying to keep hidden from everyone because I was afraid of what people will think of me. I wanted to experience what it was like to have transparency with everyone that knew me. I had lots of people who were coming on board and saying, "Man, you're like the best thing since sliced bread. You're just this one of those people that we believe are the real deal." The reality, however, was that I didn't think that anyone knew me, and I was in that season of life then that was where I was getting a lot of accolades from everyone, but I couldn't really believe what anyone was saying. And so I pressed that self-employed button and saying, "Hey, I really value the fact that someone could know me, really truly know me, and be okay with what they're seeing in me." I wanted to be able to have that transparent response and openness to whoever was coming in my life. And I wanted people to know who the real Biniam was. And so the only way I knew was to be honest, to be raw and honest with everyone and saying, here's what I've been up to, here's what I've been thinking and doing, and here's how I've kind of gone forward. And in the midst of me doing that, I lost my former community and I was planning a season of at least a decade where I wouldn't have anyone who wanted to do, who wouldn't. I was thinking no one would want anything to do with me because of what my actions had been. The beautiful thing, however, in the aftermath was that I got something really precious, and that's the season I'm currently in right now. What season of life am I right now? I'm trying not to get emotional, but the season of life I'm currently in right now is one where I feel I'm the same person inside and outside with my community, with everyone who knows me. I can speak my mind now. I can share my convictions as I truly feel them. I can tell the truth Whereas once upon a time, I didn't think I had that chance to. And I really value that. So for me, I'm in a season of life where it's consistent both internally in my mind and externally with the way I present myself to people. And I'm so thankful for that. So thankful that I can engage with you guys with honesty, with all my dear friends. Honestly, honesty is like one of those really critical things that I value most right now in my personal ongoing evolution. So I'm super thankful. On a relational basis, I'm so thankful for where I'm at. I have really fantastic, deep friendships that I've been cultivating that are honest, that are transparent, that are generous and gracious. Oh, goodness. I tell you, this is a fantastic season socially that I'm in. And I'm super, super thankful for it. So thankful for this current season that I'm in right now. I am so thankful for it. Excuse me. Secondly, I'm in a season where I'm economically struggling. We all have come through a pandemic, and it's been brutal, hasn't it? It's been so tough to try and stretch things out, especially when I'm doing the job that I'm doing right now. My current job that I'm doing full time is I'm an Uber driver. Love my job as an Uber driver, but it's been rough through the pandemic, right? Because not many people have been out and about traveling. And so that's affected my business. I haven't been able to do as much driving with people or earning as I would have liked. And so I started plummeting, economically. And I'm still in that zone of trying to like hold the fort together. So it's quite uncertain. It's an uncertain season for me economically. Economically, I'm still trying to make ends meet and trying to do the right thing and trying to have balance because I mean, I've got a business I'm putting on the side together. I've got my job that demands time from me. I'm a dad as well, and so I want to spend time with my kids. And when I'm with them, I'm with them. I'm trying not to be divided with work and hanging out with them. So there's a lot of things that I'm sort of like calibrating for. But Uber is going much better now. And no, I'm not making any income off of TikTok. I'm not at that level, I think, by way of followership or anything like that. But I'm content. In the midst of all this uncertainty, I'm really content. There's so much I'm experiencing that has been really fantastic, right? It's been so, so good as I consider what I can control and what I can't control. One of those things I've come to address in my life is my codependent nature, which I've been working really hard on for the past few years, saying I don't want to be in that zone where I feel compelled to live on other people's radar or schedule, but to try and be aware of where I'm at, right? And so that's really important. Um, but even though I've been shadow banned on TikTok for some time now, and it's just kind of suppressed my viewership, um, something that's really encouraged me, another season that I've come through in the last year and a half since I've been on social platforms like Instagram and TikTok, it's been really neat to see that the ideas that I share with people, the way that I carry myself, the way I treat people has been really resonating with so many of my viewers. Like the majority of those who have been interacting with my work have been like young guys, like 12 to 25-year-old guys. And this has really shocked me. It's like blown my mind that these individuals, these guys would be interested in the content that I'm doing on TikTok and Instagram. And so that's been really, really encouraging. It's affirmed that the perspectives and ideas that I have are actually quite worthwhile and encouraging to people. So that's given me confidence to start this business and start running with it. And so, along those lines, I'm so grateful that I have that vantage and platform. So I have tremendous sense of confidence in this season as I step into the unknown. Like that's the other thing is I'm in a season right now where I've made some significant investments for my business that I'm trying to get going, and I have no confirmation that it's going to be successful. No confirmation. Sure, I've got a platform, but it's kind of tough when you're suppressed on your platform and you don't get a lot of views to be able to get a lot of content out there, right? That's a tough thing to be able to say, huh, how do I get my ideas and my services out there? And so, again, as I step into this new business idea, um, I am, I don't know, I'm uncertain that it's gonna get to all those folks that I had a chance to connect with. I was just reading some of the comments here. This guy, is it? Yeah, this user says, "Damn, you got shadow banned on TikTok. Haven't seen your videos in months." It's encouraging when I get videos like that. It's not anything that is in your control or my control that we're kind of like separated. Hence why I'm looking forward to my business plan because it gives me a chance to have direct access to you guys, right? Which I love. So you can find my business, Strandivar Hunters, on my website at biniamasters.com. Go ahead and check that out and peruse and see what I'm up to and where I'm hopefully going to go and how I want to encourage and serve you guys as well. But in the midst of this, even though it's uncertain who I'm going to reach and how I'm going to be able to make connections and sort of launch off this way, I am encouraged that I have quality to offer, in what I want to share with this world. I love this season too, where I can focus in on the thing that brings me like the greatest happiness. And that's encouraging you guys to consider what it looks like to live in this zone of kindness that could open up all these doors socially. And so I'm super, super thankful for that as well. What other season do I see myself currently in? I see myself as a dad right now too. I want to do really well as a dad. So along those lines, as a dad, one of the commandments I have is how can I be a good dad? How can I be a good dad to ensure that my kids have a present dad? Um, you got to put a link in your bio, my man. Oh, I should do that on my Instagram. On my TikTok, I can't put the link because I have a sponsored link by Uber that I've committed to putting on for the month here. So once that is expired, then I'll put my link on the TikTok. But thank you for the reminder. I'll definitely put it on the Instagram. Thank you, Strandivar Hunters. But along those lines, as a dad right now, I want to do as best as I can with the time I have with my kids. I want to honor my kids and I want to ensure that they have a dad who is present when he's with them, who is not pursuing his dreams at the expense of their time with dad. I want to make sure that they have a dad who's engaged and right in there. So that's another season that I really value and I want to make sure that I do well on. I've worked with kids for a very, very long time, and I've seen different seasons in the lives of these kids and their parents and the relationships that they have. And a lot of it has been super sad for me to watch. Why? One of the things I've noticed by way of a pattern is how there's a disconnect between parents and their kids. Now, it's not that there's any lack of love, I don't think, but it's something along the lines whereby they grow separate over time and it's almost like they don't know how to communicate with each other. They don't know how to communicate with each other, and as they try to like communicate, things just kind of fall through the cracks in a really painful way to watch. It's so painful. And so as I reflect on that, I think, how can I watch for those trends between me and my kids? I know, even for example, it's been one of the most painful things for me to watch is when girls who grow up in their younger years adoring their dads grow separate from their dads to the point that some of them never even want to talk to their dads anymore as they grow up because the dad just did not know how to communicate with his girls to be able to encourage them to come alongside them. And so I've seen some of these dynamics and it's been so, so painful, so painful. Yeah, I'm trying not to cry because that's one of the things that breaks my heart when I see that kind of breakdown, right? Because I mean, as a parent, I do not want to see that dynamic between me and my kids. So the question I ask is, what can I do right now to watch for those trends, even with my kids in this current season, to ensure that I'm giving them everything that they need emotionally, so that I feel supported over time? How can I watch the different seasons that they're growing through as they're growing up and then change the way I engage with them, change the way my relationship is with them so that I'm growing with them? Because at some point, they're going to be like me. They're going to become like a peer to me. They're going to become like old enough to make their own decisions. And how can I learn to honor their decisions as they grow up and become their own people? How can I accept them for where they are and who they are so that I'm not saying, here's what you should be, but more so just watching them grow in their own context. That's really important for me. Super important. Yeah, so these are some of the seasons that I consider myself going through in life right now, that are important for me. Um, and the one word that comes to my mind as I consider these seasons that I'm currently navigating is the word gratitude. I am so grateful for, I'm so grateful for the fact that in the midst of these seasons, I'm able to reflect. I'm able to take some moments like this with you guys right now and sit down and reflect and remember and say, I'm in an amazing spot, an amazing, encouraging spot whereby I can reflect on how I've gotten here, what I'm currently enjoying and experiencing because of my past experiences, the good ones and the challenging ones that have made me to who I am today. That in this current season that I'm in right now, I can still face it with optimism. I can still face this current season with what could be. How can I progress through to the next level? I am super thankful for that. I think that's a fantastic gift that I really value. I really value that. So grateful. I'm so grateful. And when I'm grateful, I say the third point in my happy guide on my website that you can pick up for free. The third component for me with gratitude as I exercise and express it ongoing and intentionally and consistently, it just moves me into this zone of happiness. And so it's no wonder that people are always asking, how are you always so happy? And I really value that ability on my part to be able to express gratitude no matter what's going on, because there's something to reflect on. So, my dear listeners, my dear watchers, what season of life are you in right now? And what has gone into the makeup for you in considering where you're currently at? Are you in a really difficult season? Are you in need of some encouragement, perhaps? I would love to hear from you. Send me a message through these platforms. Send me a message on my website, bennymasters.com. I would love to encourage you. Perhaps you are in a season of thrilling amazingness. Like I know some of you on here just graduated this past year. I saw some of your pictures on the social platforms, and I'm thrilled for you. It's like a real big prospect, especially as we're coming out of the pandemic. So that's an amazing thing. For some of you, you're just trying to hold a fort together. It's been a long year and a half or so in the midst of this pandemic, and you've really seen a decline in your mental health, perhaps, or your physical abilities, or there may be other elements in this current season that are bringing you some significant challenge. Um, Sometimes we think in the midst of those really difficult seasons that we have to sort of go off on our own. And some of us just do that by nature. We just want to go and suffer on our own. We don't want to bother other people with our stuff. And so we just kind of go and do our own thing in isolation. And that can be a really challenging prospect. And what I'd encourage you to consider is don't do it alone. There's people in your life that love you and would love nothing but the honor and the pleasure of coming alongside and encouraging you in this difficult season. So, one of the toughest things you could probably do is to reach out and say, could I have some help or support on the sideline? Consider the amount of happiness you could be to someone else who desperately needs that kind of encouragement and that kind of bolstering. That could be really, really meaningful. So consider what that might look like for you. I'm really thankful you joined me again for this little episode here on the Bin Checking In podcast, the Bin Checking In podcast, where we consider together some self reflective questions for our own growth, our happiness, and to learn how to be kind to ourselves. These are important dynamics that I want to model for you and encourage you to join me on as we grow together. I'll be back again. I plan to be doing this on a daily basis. This is something that I'd like to start doing more regularly. Um, And if you want to participate, by all means, feel free to leave me a note. There is a recording of this on my Instagram channel and, of course, on the YouTube Live. So check out my YouTube or Instagram. The handle again is BennyMasters.com. Feel free to visit my website again, BennyMasters.com. I've got more resources there. I'd love to partner with you in growing in kindness and impacting and really changing this world. I believe we can do that, guys, and that's why I'm investing myself as I am in this endeavor. And I would love to partner with you. I want to change the world. I want you to change the world with me, and I want to grow in our partnership by way of friendship as well, where we're like we got each other's back. We know each other's name. We are regularly interacting and encouraging one another. That's something that I really want to continue doing. So, if that sounds interesting, please again check my website, bennymasters.com. Consider some of the membership tiers there where I offer some opportunities, and I'd love to partner with you that way on a more regular and intentional basis. But I love you guys. I so thank you for joining me on this episode. Come and find me again, same time tomorrow. Until then, have a fantastic Saturday and I will see you all soon. Let me say bye to my TikTok friends first. I'll see you guys soon, TikTokers. Yes, I still drive Uber and still posting. I'll talk to you guys soon there. And my Instagrammers, love you guys. I'll see you all soon. And of course, you, my YouTube following, whoever's going to watch this video. Thank you for joining. I'll see you tomorrow.